Hello, wrestling fans. AEW Full Gear 2021 was a very good show from Minneapolis, Minnesota. The pre-show titled "The Buyin" starts out with Tony Schiavone in the ring with interviewing Minnesota's own Dante Martin until he's interrupted by the acclaimed Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. And Caster was rapping to the ring, and he mentioned about Dante teaming with Leo Rush, and he made reference in that rap saying Leo Rush's 15th retirement, which I found very good. And the Acclaim tell Dante, you're either with us or you're against us, and he ended up attacking them, so basically his answer was no. And then we have our match for the buy-in, which was a women's tag team match, as we saw Jamie Hayter and Nyla Rose, accompanied by Vicky Guerrero, do battle with Thunder Rosa and is it Hideki Shida? I apologize if I got her first name wrong. I don't know what went wrong, but it's like this match just did not click for some reason. Serena Deeb, former NWA Women's Champion, was in the front row, and I think she got in. I forgot it was either Shida or Thunder Rosa's face, but Shida and Thunder Rosa won the match over Nyla Rose and Jamie Hayter. Then we get on with our opening match of the pay-per-view. We saw MJF come to the ring sporting a Randy Savage influenced jacket, and he went one-on-one with Darby Allin. These two kids really were given the ball, and boy, I gotta say, they ran with it, and surprisingly, they were dual chants of Darby Allin, MJF, and at one point, there was a sick bump where Darby missed the coffin drop from the top rope onto the apron. Darby ended up hitting a diamond dust on MJF. That's, for those who don't know, that was a move Masato Tanaka was known for. Prior to the match, Sting was coming to the ring with Darby Allin, but Sting decides to let Darby go it alone. MJF countered a Code Red with a powerbomb. Eventually, fellow Pinnacle members Shawn Spears and Wardlow, they try to come out, but Sting stops them, and he's doing a number on Shawn Spears with a chair. At one point, MJF gives Darby a tombstone on the apron, another sick bump. Eventually, Darby hits the coffin drop on MJF, who was laying on the floor. The end came when MJF used his ring and he hits Darby with it and took him down with a headlock takedown and pinned him to win the match, because MJF claimed he could win the match with a headlock takedown, but he did it after using his ring on Darby, so MJF got the victory. Next up was a match where we saw FTR accompanied the ring by Tully Blanchard as they took on the Lucha Bros, Penta Zero M and Ray Phoenix, accompanied by Alex, I can't remember his last name right now, for the AEW Tag Team Championship. It was great double team offense from both teams. A lot of, I believe, one of the FTR did the Three Amigos, and there was, a lot of Eddie Guerrero tributes throughout this show, because it was held 16 years of the day that he passed on. At one point, FTR took, they hit the spike pile driver, because eventually Lucha Bros gave them a spike pile driver. At one point, FTR took a page out of the Killer Bees playbook as they went underneath the apron and they put masks on, tried mass confusion, but that really didn't work out. But the Lucha Bros ended up winning the match over FTR to retain the tag team title as they hit a spike pile driver, a spike package pile driver, enabling the Lucha Bros to retain the tag team championship. Next up, we saw the finals of the Eliminator Tournament, where the winner would get a shot at the World Heavyweight title, as Miro went one-on-one with Bryan Danielson. A lot of slow points in this matchup. Miro eventually put on that, I was called the Bulgarian clutch that he had, and Danielson broke out of that. Danielson put the crossface or the label lock, which used to be known as the Yes Lock during his WWE days. That didn't work out. Eventually, the end came when Danielson hit a top rope DDT on Miro into a guillotine choke, and the referee stopped the match. Bryan Danielson victorious over Miro. Danielson now gets a shot at the heavyweight championship. Next up was a Falls Count Anywhere match, as we saw Adam Cole and the Young Bucks, Nick and Matt Jackson, do battle with Christian Cage and, from the Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. Now, the crowd really picked up with this matchup. Adam Cole came out wearing a Bret Hart-inspired jacket. Luchasaurus, he German suplexed both Young Bucks together. Jungle Boy Hurricane rounded Adam Cole off the apron into a table, I believe. Matt Hart hit a Randy Savage elbow off the top rope onto Luchasaurus through a table. The heck? I forgot what Adam Cole did to Jungle Boy on the apron. He did it. It was like a wheelbarrow suplex on the apron. That was pretty much a sick bump. Eventually, thumbtacks were brought into play, and they were put in Jungle Boy's mouth, and they did the Bucks did the kissed Cole on the cheek spot while having Jungle Boy in a camel clutch, and he's got a mouthful of thumbtacks, and I think they eventually double super kicked him with the tacks in his mouth. Cage hit a tornado DDT's Nick Jackson on a ladder or off a ladder. Cole hits a Panama Sunrise on Jungle Boy on the top of the ramp. Adam Cole gets chokeslammed off the ramp onto, I believe, Michael Nakazawa and Brandon Cutler. I think both Bucks were there too. Then Luchasaurus, to the shock of all, does a shooting star press off the ramp onto everybody. And then the end came when Christian Cage had Matt Jackson set up for a concerto on the apron, and he's about to do it, but Jungle Boy stops Christian, and I read his lips. He said, "I'm ready." And Jungle Boy took the chair and did the honors, concertoed Matt Jackson and pinned him, enabling Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, and Christian Cage to defeat Adam Cole and the Young Bucks. Next up was a tag team match. We saw Andrade El Idolo, I apologize if I got that name wrong, accompanied the ring by Jose, and Malachi Black, as they did battle with Cody Rhodes, accompanied the ring by Arn Anderson, and Pac, the bastard Pac, as they call him. And there was speculation where, like, both teams couldn't trust each other. They were both doing blind tags before any contact was made. Andrade hit a pendulum DDT onto Pac on the apron. Cody did a reverse superplex on Andrade. Pac gave the 450 splash to Andrade while Cody had Andrade in the figure 4 leg lock. Pac hit the Poison Rana, or as I call it, the Rewind Rana, on Andrade. And Pac pins Andrade with the Black Arrow, which was this twisting splash he does off the top rope. And throughout this match, our fans were really eating Cody Rhodes alive with the boos. So, I don't know. I mean, it's one thing, everybody knows Cody Rhodes, along with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, they practically run the company, even though it's Tony Khan's money that's got it going and still going today. That's not a knock on AEW. Okay, next up we saw the Women's Championship as Ty Conti challenged Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, accompanied the ring by Jamie Hayter, spelled with a Y, and Rebel, who finally, I guess she stopped carrying that crutch with her. And that was for the Women's Championship. Ty took an air raid crash on the apron from Baker. Ty eventually hits the Ty KO on Baker. Eventually, Ty hit a cradle pile driver on Baker. Baker curb stomps Ty on the steps, and she curb stomps her in the ring. Ty eventually hits the DD tie. But, you know, these ladies, they really, as the match went on, this match got better. The end came when Baker, she tried to get the lockjaw submission. Ty countered it into a pin, but then Baker countered Ty's counter and pinned her to retain the Women's Championship. Next up was Eddie Kingston going one-on-one with CM Punk. Before the match even began, Eddie Kingston hit his back fist to the future before the bell even rang. Kingston hit an exploder suplex. There were multiple sights for the bird watchers they gave each other throughout the match. And then came Punk, hit not one but two go-to-sleeps on Eddie Kingston. After the match, Punk offered a handshake, but Kingston left the ring. And it should be noted, Punk bled in this match. I'm not sure how. But I'm sorry to say it, but I think the hype about CM Punk is pretty much done. He's just going to, I'm sorry to say, I'm not going to, he's going to just end up another spoke on the wheel in AEW. But, you know, he's there, and hopefully as time goes on, he'll have obviously matches with other people in AEW. Okay. Next up was the Minneapolis Street Fight as the Men of the Year, Scorpio Sky and All Ego Ethan Page, teamed up with America's Top Talent, I apologize if I got that wrong, featuring Dan Lambert and two MMA or UFC fighters or former MMA UFC fighters. I forgot their names and I apologize. And they did battle with the Inner Circle, Chris Jericho, TNT champion Sammy Guevara, Jake Hager, and Santana and Ortiz. Santana and Ortiz came out sporting Kiss face paint for this matchup. Eventually, I don't know where they got it, but a logo of the late Prince came into play, and that was used in the match. It prompted Prince chants. And for those who know the singer known as Prince, he was from Minnesota. A football came into play. I think somebody got spiked. Somebody was spiked with it. Hockey sticks were used, and of all things, a toaster. And at one point I said, new meaning of the term Pop-Tarts, as the fans were chanting toaster, and I think Jake Hager was using it on everybody. A water jet ski or water ski came into play. Guevara was sent to a senton off a ladder on the Scorpio Sky through a table. Legendary AWA wrestler Baron Von Raschke was in the front row, and he actually put his iron claw on All Ego Ethan Page when he got too close to the action. Chris Jericho ended up pinning Dan Lambert with a frog splash from the top rope, paying homage to his late friend Eddie Guerrero. Right after that, Tony Schiavone's standing on the ramp, and he introduces the newest member of the AEW roster, former Ring of Honor World Champion Jay Lethal, who also was Impact Wrestling X Division Champion a few times, and don't know if he was Tag Team Champion over there or not. But he comes out, and because for those who don't know, Ring of Honor is going to be taking a hiatus for the first quarter of 2022, so I guess it's safe to say one man has already bailed on the promotion, whether or not Ring of Honor comes back, and that's Jay Lethal, who has signed with AEW. I forgot what Lethal began to say. He was out dressed to the nines, and he wanted to challenge Sammy Guevara for the TNT Championship. This coming Wednesday, which is November 17th, for the TNT Championship. Guevara, still banged up from the Minneapolis Street Fight, comes out and he says, "You're on." And that was pretty much the end of that. And then it was the main event as Hangman Adam Page challenged Kenny Omega for the World Heavyweight Championship. Omega accompanied the ring by Don Callis. Page hit a moonsault on Omega. Omega eventually retaliated with two dragon suplexes. And he also hit a dragon suplex on the apron. That was another sick bump. Omega hit a tiger driver. Paige using what they called an avalanche blockbuster. I'm not sure exactly what that move was. Paige did a top rope clothesline, which put Omega through a table. Omega pulls the referee in the way of Adam Page, of I think the dead shot clothesline or whatever his move, red eye, the buckshot I think it's called. I'm sorry. Eventually, Paige hits Omega with the dead eye, but there's no referee to counter. Referee Aubrey Edwards ends up running the ring, but Omega kicked out of that. I forgot who, but somebody was hitting backdrop drivers. The Young Bucks, one of them was still banged up from the Falls Count Anywhere match earlier in the show, and they come out, and we're expecting them to interfere. Eventually, Paige gave Omega his own one-winged angel move, but Omega kicked out of that. And then Paige hits a buckshot, and then he was going to do another one, and he's waiting for the Young Bucks to do something, and Matt Jackson nods his head as if like giving a seal of approval or something, and he hits Omega with a second buckshot, and he pins Kenny Omega to win the World's Heavyweight Championship. The Dark Order come out, they have a big celebration, they're holding Adam Page on their shoulders as the show goes off the air just before midnight. Or maybe it was midnight when they went off. Well, definitely going into this, I knew this pay-per-view would not top All Out back in September. And this was a very good show, as it's like AEW is like a promotion that has yet to put on a bad or a okay pay-per-view yet. But, it'll be interesting to see where things go, because I know Kenny Omega wrestled hurt, and he's probably going to finally go home, take time off, and heal up. And I'm going to predict he's going to come back as a babyface. Come back and be a babyface again. I understand both Eddie Kingston and Malachi Black got injured in their matches. It'll be interesting to see where things go with AEW. And I say, the sky's the limit. 2022 should be big for AEW. There was no mention of their first pay-per-view of the new year during the broadcast. But I say 2022 should be big for AEW, considering Dynamite's going to move to TBS, and the first TBS champion will be Crown, which is like the secondary singles championship for the women of All Elite Wrestling. Don't know now with the addition of Jay Lethal. I don't know where they're all going to go with everything, but hopefully things will continue to get brighter and bigger and better. And I will say right now, I think Double or Nothing back in May was the best AEW pay-per-view in 2021. Not even All Out topped it. So it's my opinions, but I'm not pooping on them one iota.